Hi, welcome to the GF channel. In today's episode I'm going to show you how to make yourself a custom icon for your button, so a custom button. Now this is my original traction control button, and what I don't like about it, of course, is not only the icon, but it occupies a space which could be used for two buttons, and instead it's only one. And I need to add a button for the next video. So what I'm going to do instead is grab this button, which is for the fog lights. Come on, focus. For the fog lights, and I'm going to actually make this one come into here by also changing the icon, and the other button will be used for parking, activating rear camera on demand. So these, one of them is returning when you get pressed, the other one stays. Now I have removed the piece. This piece makes it stay. I have already removed it, so just I can show you that you can use for two non-staying, but the clickety-click sound actually disappeared. This clicks good, this no. So if you like a button that doesn't want to doesn't stay and clicks, instead you can grab the button from the touring computer, the board computer. Those buttons both are clickable and they do not stay. They again are from 626 and Premacy and 323. But this one you can actually buy from China, brand new. It's way easier to find. Of course, what you need to actually know for the electrical part is you have only 3 pins here. So one is in, and this in goes into the separate outs depending on which button you have clicked for this button. So if you pass ground, the two buttons will connect ground. If you pass 12 volts, well, you're going to connect 12 volts when pressing. This works with ground, so this one is also going to work with ground. And here is my experiment. As you can see, I have already done the traction control icon. Now in certain angles you can see it's not perfect, it's not like the original, but I believe it's good enough. It actually looks quite good. I'm happy. This camera is crap. It's very good. And if we go to here and power it on, come on, you can actually see a little bit. It's stronger, the light, and actually when looking at it not through the camera, it's not that stronger, but it's a little bit blurrier when looking at straight up. When you look at like that, it's perfect, which is where it will supposed to go. So I like it. Let's now disassemble this and show you how to make yourself fix the other one. So make yourself an icon. What you're going to need is everything is here except the screwdriver. You need a screwdriver to remove this here and disassemble the whole thing. Now there are some springs inside. I have them here for the other one, and there's the screwdriver as well. So there's springs and balls which you have to be careful not to pop out because you're going to lose them. So disassemble this. Then I'm going to show you how to remove the old icon. You're going to need a printer to print your icon. This is the old one. I'm going to print new one, of course, for the top. First print different sizes to find the size, then print different shades to find the shade. Then you need a knife to cut. As you can see, you need a Sharpie to actually go on the window and on the back side you need to draw so no light goes out, because it will look good and decent when you look it like that, but when the light goes through from behind it's going to look crap. So you need to actually strengthen it, the black, so it doesn't actually go through light. The knife, the scissors, you need to cut a little bit after cutting with the knife. There's always a little bit to cut off. And grab from your wife black nail polish, nail whatever it's called, which is used for gluing this gluing this here into place. And of course sandpaper, which I forgot. You need sandpaper to remove this old icon from here. That's all you need, so let's get started. Okay, so I have disassembled everything. This is the button. Remove the PCB, removed all the springs so I do not lose them, and I have taken out this one. And now I have removed here, you can see on the assembled one, there is a groove here for disassembly. Use a flathead and just pop out this piece. This piece we are not going to need. This piece we are going to need. So this is the icon. Oops. Now, what you need to do is grab something not sharp, like this one, preferably plastic at the end, and press hard here. I'm going to try to do it with one hand, and it's left hand, and it's probably not going to happen, but nonetheless, let's try. Just press hard. It doesn't work. Okay, it did work. So this is it. Now we need to remove that part from here. For this, it's sticky. So what you need to do is actually use some alcohol to remove the stickiness, and then sandpaper to remove if there's any residue left. Use sandpaper. This will actually remove the icon, because the icon is printed in the back. I believe it was like that. We'll see. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so after the alcohol, there is no longer glue here, no longer sticky, ready for sandpaper. I'm using 1200 sandpaper. Now I go into the kitchen sink and remove the icon from here. And that's the result. After 2-3 minutes of sanding down, there's no longer an icon. Now while waiting for this to the water to evaporate, I have printed this, and I have also went ahead and actually used the Sharpie to strengthen the black cover. Now the size I did not print, because I know the size from the previous icon. What happened though, why I printed this shading, I need to use the same shade as here, but I believe that this is the fourth one. Maybe it will be different than the fourth here. Nonetheless, I've done the fourth, but I believe this one is thicker, so the white is a lot whiter, because it's thicker. The lines are thicker than here. So my best guess is this is going to look whiter. We're going to see once I do it. Now we place this on top, like so. We cut it, and I'll show you what happens. And here we go. I have placed the paper in, and this is the plastic that needs to go on top. Now I have added some blackening to the edges with the Sharpie, because the nail polisher will be on a small area, only to glue, but not to block the light from going into the plastic. This thing that I showed you were on different angles. It's there is some light, is because there's air between this piece and the piece of paper. I tried multiple ways to get rid of this air, but I couldn't. I tried gluing and stuff and just not working. So I'm doing it like that, and it's not bad. So now I'm going to do some small amount of this to glue it in place. Just barely touch it, because otherwise it's going to run and it's going to look crappy on the picture. And this is how it looks like. I was correct. The more white you have here, the stronger the effect is when looking at different angles. So I need to use darker color, but I already did that one. I'll live with it. But for you to know, the more white you have, use darker shade for the white. I'm sure with time this is actually going to even itself. We'll see. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is, since, as you saw, these had green paint on them, the light actually here used to be a regular light bulb, and the paint was on the icon itself. Now I have removed this and placed white paper, and I'm using green LEDs. So I have soldered LEDs here in the places of the light bulbs, which most probably are burned out anyhow, and these are green, and that's how I get the green which you saw earlier. That's what I forgot to mention. Okay, let's assemble the button and show you how it looks on the daylight before we go to the car and mount it there. And this is with the backlight on the daytime. Now if I remove this, we can go compare it with this one on the sun. As I said, this is too white, you can actually see, but this turned out quite good. So a darker shade for this will be much better. Okay, let's go mount it on the car, see if it's working. Okay, the wiring part. Now there are lots of wires here that you can see. There are probably 3 different videos that use those wires. We have one is moving the fog lights to here. That's one video, and that's why I actually have this button free and I've placed this on its space. Then I have backlit here, which goes up like that for this this thing there, which I have a video for that as well. And the third one is actually again backlit for the steering buttons, for which I have another video for. So don't mind all of these. We are interested in these 3. Black is ground, that's the incoming ground towards the button, and those 2 wires, there is ground going out of them, depending on which button you have pressed. Now here is a good place to mention that this button, which I suggested to use for 2 buttons that do not there is no holding to them. This is broken, so it's not going to click, but this one works differently. So as you can see here, there's incoming ground and 2 outgoing grounds, while here, if we remove the 2 wires for the backlit, incoming ground, and there's only 1 wire that's for the outgoing part. No separate wires for the 2 buttons. This is because this is analog encoded, meaning one button actually is 0 ohm, which means short to ground. The other button actually goes through a resistor when being pressed. So keep in mind if you may actually need such a behavior for a project, but keep that in mind. The two buttons have different wiring. So back to this button. As you already see, the one that's, let me turn on the a little bit more the exposure. This short one is the momentary switch, which I already soldered to this wire that's on the farmost of the traction control button. Yeah, it's not pretty, but it does the job. This is still working, and that's in case I decide to use this for something else, this button, in the future. So I left this one working, in a working state. And the other one goes up, goes like that, and goes to there. That's for the activation of the rear view camera, which is for the next episode. So hit that subscribe and the bell so you don't miss it. And that's pretty much it. Now let me assemble the car and show you that it actually works. Okay, so I press. And here we go. That's the back. Camera is a little bit crappy, but until this is pressed, as you can see, camera is active. Now I press it again so it's no longer pressed, and it goes back. Good, that's what I wanted. And now let's see if the traction control is actually working. That I need to start the car. Okay, let's see. I press and it's off. I press and it's on. Very good. And that's with the backlight, as you can see. Let me try to close the door. Not that bad. If I turn off, it's not visible like that. Like that, it's visible. This is with, this is without. With, without. Maybe we can go a little bit closer. With, without. Let's close the door. You can see it's a little bit different on the camera, but live you can barely tell. Barely. Okay. It's not perfect, but I believe it's way better than what you can actually buy off the shelf. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hit subscribe. I'll be posting more videos soon. Bye bye.